All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Get Ellievated podcast. It's your girl, Ellie Talks Money. I am so excited to bring you guys another episode full of gems, full of game, just all the goods. So y'all know on the Get Ellievated podcast, we are all about bringing you real entrepreneurs who have started real businesses to really share their real experiences. I want you guys to recognize that owning a business and running a business is very possible for you, and what better way to learn that than from real business owners? So grab your notebook, grab a pen, and let's get into these gems. Listen, everything you need to change your life is already within you. You need to believe that. It has to work, or it has to work. You got this. Scale your business, make more money, create your best life, and let's get elevated. Welcome to the podcast. All right, y'all, welcome back into the show. So I'm really excited today because we have an amazing guest, a beautiful woman. This is actually our second or third time meeting, so I'm very excited about that. I'm here with Rosezena, aka the Biz Lawyer. So Queen, introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me and having me here.
Of course.
Yes, my name is Rosezena Jennifer Pierce. I actually own R.J. Pierce Law Group, which was just rated number 37 out of over 28,000 trademark law firms in the country.
Oh,
yeah, so
that's major.
I'm proud of that. And I just got rated number 15 out of over 33,000 trademark attorneys in the country. So I'm proud of that as well.
Yes.
Yes, but I am originally from Chicago, Illinois, but I live in Atlanta. But my clients come from all across the country because I practice federal law under the USPTO, which is for the trademark office. And I can represent anybody across the country or the world, actually.
The world. Yeah. Ooh, so let's get into that. So, for example, if someone who doesn't live in the U.S. wanted to trademark, how could they go about that process?
Well, actually, the government actually passed the law back in August 2019 that said if you are a foreign filer, you have to be represented by a U.S. attorney. The reason being because there were a lot of trademark trolling applications that was being filed, from, I won't say where they're from, but from a different nation, and, and trying to extort people out of their brands. And so in order to combat that, the government doesn't have jurisdiction or power over someone who belongs to a different country or a different city. So now in order to be a foreign filer and file under the U.S., you have to be represented by an attorney because they want to make sure they have someone in that place to kind of be the gatekeeper to make sure like fraudulent applications is not being filed.
Coming through.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good to know because, I have people who watch this from Canada and different places, and they're always asking how can they have access. So y'all need to get a lawyer. So speaking of trademarks, right? We get this question all the time. Mm-hmm. How important is it for a new business owner? Let's say maybe they don't have a ton of funds. Yeah. Like how necessary is it to get a trademark before doing anything? What's the steps?
So I'll ask you this, Ellie. Will you build a house on land you don't own?
No, because I don't want to get sued. Or get it taken from me.
Exactly, right? So when you're building a business and you're building a brand and you're serious about that business, like if you're just doing it to play house, you remember we used to play house when we was kids and things like that. If that's the case, maybe it's not important because you don't care if someone try to come and shut your business down or, make you start all over again. But if you are invested in this business, you are taking it very serious, you're trying to create generational wealth and legacy from this business, then you definitely want to protect it even before you begin to build it. Like your foundation has to be laid out properly. Yeah. And this is why I tell people, follow people like you who help them to get funding and get to the bag, right? So that you can finance it. Because as an entrepreneur, one thing I say to make you the definition of an entrepreneur, you have to be creative about how you are able to generate capital and money and funds, because once you start having payroll and inventory demands and shipping demands and things like that, you have to spend money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have to find a way to get it.
Exactly.
So what's the average cost? Like if you are a new business and you want to trademark your name, what do they need to be prepared for?
So typically my firm charged about $17.97.
Oh, that's great.
It's crazy because we never even charge that price, right?
Yes.
Like I always say starting at this price, but I always like to put on specials and things like that.
Yeah.
going back in law school, I had my kids in law school. I have 3 kids.
Yes.
My son is now 21. I have a 17-year-old and I have a 10-year-old. But back then, 10 years ago, I had these babies, right? And I knew I wanted to get a big law firm job. But then when I took the bar exam, it was the first time, because I took it in February.
Yeah.
And you don't get the results right away. You get them so my results came out in April.
Oh,
so
wow.
that March, I realized I really love being at home. My kids come home from school and I wanted to invest in motherhood, right? But I was thinking but I want to work for these big law firms,
right,
or I want to work for these big corporations, but they demand a lot of time. And it's very challenging for Black females
to get in
the legal profession, to get in and manage a work-life balance, especially as a mother. And so I remember when I found out I passed on the first time, yes. And I say God makes no mistakes, because the the professor who actually taught the class for me to get sworn into the bar, I was telling him about this dilemma, and I really always wanted to be a lawyer since I was 5, but I enjoy motherhood. And he said, you will go a long way serving the underserved. And I was like, wait a minute, I want to do criminal law. I don't want to do, I don't want to do family law or anything like that. I want to do intellectual property law. And he was like, well, who's underserved in that community? And I was like, small business owners? He said, you'll go a long way serving the underserved. And I knew in that moment, I had a plan, but God had a bigger plan.
Yes.
And so I feel to keep my prices affordable, right? We offer amazing services. That's how we are able to be number 37 in the country. But to keep it affordable and accessible to entrepreneurs and small business owners who's starting out, I know that's me giving back and being able to serve.
Wow.
So, our price, now inflation is here now.
And now hold up. Because these gas prices, child, these grocery store prices.
Yes,
turkey is $50.
Girl, chicken. And I don't even really eat chicken, but my kids.
But still, yeah.
But like you said, turkey, I'm trying
it's
to.
Wild.
Salmon, it's.
Oh my God, salmon? Because that's all I eat.
Me too.
I'm y'all doesn't make me go broke out here.
Exactly. Oh my God, it's expensive. So, for the new year, we do have to look into, increasing our prices and things. But when we do that and we look at our business model, we always keep, the entrepreneur in mind who's starting out and starting, So to start out, it's about $1,500 to $1,700.
Yeah.
But that also includes the filing fee.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, because I can even say when I had looked before knowing you, some places charge $5,000, $3,000. I mean, $1,700, $2,000 is a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
Even if they had to do a payment plan, right? That gives someone an option.
Yeah. And another thing too, because a lot of those places charge you $5,000, $4,000, and it's but what if there's no issues, right?
Exactly.
And so now you just got my $5,000, and I ain't even have an issue. So what we do is, we charge the $1,500 to $1,700 to actually do the research in the beginning.
Yes.
Have a consultation with the client, and then get the application on file. And if the government reviews it, approve it, everything goes through, you got a registration now and you don't have to do anything for the next 5 to 6 years.
Wow.
Now, if an issue comes up, we don't bill our clients hourly like most law firms will do.
Yeah.
If the issue comes up, then we will charge an additional rate, right? And so, so if a substantive where the government is refusing it on a legal basis, and we have to respond with a legal brief and legal research and writing, that's where another $1,200 will come in at, right?
Yes.
And sometimes,
which makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm always trying to put on sales to make it easy for people, right?
Yes.
Because I want people to protect their brands. Because every day, right? Every other day, and we own the Trademark tea, right? We get some good Trademark tea, and usually it's a small business owner being taken advantage, or their brand being taken advantage, because somebody who had way much more money, way much more power was able to protect and secure it, and now it's this business owner.
Sad.
It's their hard-earned money,
you know, start over, basically
starting over, or either trying to fight for against a big giant who can finance a lawsuit, and you can't even do that.
You can't even do that. Oh my God! But you know what? I love that your professor told you to serve the underserved, you know? Yeah. I think that that's so important because we might often think the only way to be profitable in business is to have the highest price. But that's not the case. No. You know? I find that because even in my business, I enjoy being able to say that, you know, there's some things you could pay a lot for, but then most things you can access. I think accessibility is key because that's also how you built this big brand. I feel like people know, go to Rosezena because it's going to be good service and it's not going to break the bank.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So it makes such a big difference. So what was it like when you first opened your doors? Like, how did you go from starting this business to now scaling? What were those first 2 to 3 years like?
So I would just say, becoming an entrepreneur, it was accidental, right?
Yeah.
After having that conversation with that professor, he's the one who kind of like planted the seed, like, oh, maybe I need to do this for myself, right? And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even take it immediately, right? Because I started applying for jobs and things like that, and nobody will hire me, and I'm like, Lord, why they don't like me?
Oh, that's a sign, girl.
Yes, and even like to the point I'm looking for attorney jobs, no one will hire me. I started applying for paralegal jobs, and it really came full circle later on. Like this past year, I realized God had a bigger plan for me where I wasn't supposed to work under their name because my name had to come above their name. So on that list of where we top 37, they put like the top 100. And if I'm looking like 60s, 70s, 80s, I applied to work at those places.
It's just too good.
Yes. And so I would just say, like, so the first 2 years, like, it really had to be like a mindset development thing, right? Getting out of the conditional mindset of what society tell you, go to school, get a good job, retire, right? And so, like, just actually, like, believing in myself. I read a really good book called The Fast Lane Millionaire.
I've seen that. I haven't read it yet, though.
It's a good book. It's actually, his name is M.J. DeMarco. He was actually from Chicago as well, and he started limos.com. And he talks about how, like, our mindsets is conditioned in society where we have to work for people. Right. But it's like once that mindset is unlocked for entrepreneurship, you're just like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go, right? And there's some peaks and there's some valleys.
Yes.
You know, and, you know, my mom, and I know you're really close to your mom, like, you know, I remember going to events where there was like entrepreneur events and we have our little table and I was selling my planners, and then my mom would come over and be like, girl, I just got somebody email, they daughter lawyer, work for the government, here, submit your resume. I'm like, Mom, I'm trying to do this business, right? And so it's like just having the mindset and the strength of the mind to know, like, I know my mom wants the best for me. Exactly. I know she loves me, right? But she only knows what she knows, right? And I have to continue to push against the grain and go against the grain, right? And I think that's the mindset you have to have at first, right? But now shifting into how to scale and grow the business is a whole nother mindset. Look, as a Black woman in America, right? I think we can talk about it. Like, a lot of us have trust issues.
Woo!
And we don't want to let go of things in our business because we're bringing in our personal issues into our businesses. Correct. But what I believe, most great business owners, they separate emotions from business, right? And they're able to just keep it 100% business. And so, once I began to let go and thinking like I had to do everything in my business myself, right? And I'm like, that's so selfish, because now if you're hoarding all the tasks in your business, like, you can't pay other people and pour into other people's lives and other people, you know, so that they can help eat and grow from this business. So
I just got chills.
Girl, that was a whole nother shift in mindset for me. Like, you got to let go to grow,
you
right?
have to.
And you think like because we're like service based, right? Like, I gotta work with each and every one of my clients, but it's like, think about that. In reality, like, because the first goal, right, is always to be a millionaire. Right. We want to hit 7 figures, right? Like, you know, as a business owner, I want to hit 7. But how can you truly hit 7 figures if you're serving everybody in the business?
You can't.
It just don't
you'll be exhausted,
ready to like kill yourself and somebody else. Like, mathematically, it just can't work that way. Yeah. So you have to let go and you have to hire people. And I know the first thing people say is, well, I can't afford to hire anyone.
That's what they say.
You cannot, like, you can't afford not to hire nobody else.
Girl, say it again.
Or you gonna be out of business.
Out of business.
Real soon.
And it's so true. Like, we got to just change our mindset, because you really can afford to hire someone.
Yeah.
And soon I found that when I made my first hire, which was customer service,
Yes.
I started making more money.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, what is this?
Yes. And that's like, so my first hire was a social media manager. So this, like, the marketing, so she's paying for her position.
Exactly.
And you want to find people that's willing to grow with you. And
Yes.
you got to be a good steward. You got to be a good CEO when it's like, okay, I can only pay you this right now.
Right.
But when you come in and help me, we're going to go up together, right? And so it's just like, I just feel like, you know, it's people out, because look, God has not brought us this far to fail us. He's going to provide us and supply us with what we need. And that includes the people we need to come and join the team as well. So
yes. You are speaking exactly what, because this, you know, is my second year of business, and it's been a very much year of scaling and hiring. And some days I'd be like, you know, this is scary, but you're so right. God is going to bring the right people to help you achieve that purpose that he has assigned for you.
Yes.
And a lot of it is just, we got to just trust in it.
Yeah.
And it can be hard, but like you said, when we answer that call and when we answer that assignment, it's going to come together.
It will.
You know, we just got to let it happen.
Did you just say this your second year in business?
Girl, yes.
Girl, I feel like you've been killing it. I feel like you've been on the scene at least for 4 years, at least. Wow,
I feel
you just
like
gotta,
it.
like, we should just take a moment and celebrate that, right? Like 2 years in business and you're killing it. That's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Yes.
Every day I be praying like, God, just let's keep going.
Yeah.
Give me the strength I need.
Yes.
To continue, because I think, you know, when you start a business in the first place, your mind is in so many places. And what you said, you know, I started this business at my mom's house. I have my 4 kids. I just got divorced. So I'm like, my mom is like, why don't you have a job? Why are you always on your phone? Like, are you trying to live here forever? You know, all this pressure.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to build up your confidence as a business owner. And then when it scales quickly the way it did, I'm still like catching up.
Yes.
I'm like, is this...
Yes.
Y'all sure this is happening? You
yes.
know? And so it really is about like making it sustainable.
Yeah.
And
you know, that's when you know God is in it. Because
Yes.
it's growing faster than you can even keep up with it, right? And it's like, it ain't just me. This ain't just about me. Like, I always tell people, R.J. Pierce Law Group is bigger than Rosezena Jennifer Pierce any day. Like, I have a staff of close to 20 people, and they make it happen, right? So that I can come out and talk to people and travel around, you know? And it's like, it ain't just about me, so I know it's something it's God ordained, right? Like, it's just, it gotta be, because it's just like, I ain't never ran a business before.
Right.
I got no cousins, no uncles, no brothers, no sisters that ran a business before,
You're the
right?
first.
And I'm the first, and it's just like, he provides, and I'm figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? Because in law school, they don't teach you how to run a business.
Nope.
They teach you how to be a lawyer.
how to go get a job.
Exactly.
Not how to start your own practice, not how to be independent.
Yes.
So I think that's really key. And I want to ask you too, when you started being the first, did you ever have situations where you wanted to bring friends and family into the business and it either did work or it did not work?
So, friends, in the end, it did not work. A person that was my friend kind of hurt me, you know, because I taught her everything that I knew about, and she wasn't even like interested in this type of business, but only to go on and like, you know, work for like, you know, a competitor.
Somebody below you on the list. Oh no.
But it's okay, because it's just, but you know, that kind of, because I was like, damn, I thought we was, you know, better, you know, better than that. And to the fact that, like, you know, you know.
Yes. You did.
Yeah. But you know what? That God has to deal with that.
Yes.
That ain't even my battle to fight.
No.
Like, I got other big, you know, so, but as far as family, my sister actually works for me.
Oh, wow.
Yes, she actually works for me. And to be honest with you, because it's 3 of us, my brother's the oldest, then I'm the middle, and then my sister's the baby. My mom was like, no. I do not. No. She was like, I'm not finna deal with these issues. No. And I'm happy she set that tone in the beginning because she was like, no, like, I don't want y'all working together. I don't need no conflict or nothing. And it made it to a point where my sister had to sit down and talk to my mom. I had to sit down and talk to my mom. Then we had to come together and talk to each other. Like, and I was like, look, this is my business.
Exactly.
You my sister. And it happened like right in the midst of COVID. And it's like, okay, people say I hired her for nepotism, but no, she had a skill. She has a college degree, right?
Yeah.
But also too, okay, yes, it was COVID. My sister has 2 boys at home. And at the time they was closing down the schools, and I was like, I gotta be able to help my sister and my nephews in some type of way. So, and you know, she's very professional about the situation. But I think it's because we had the conversation in the beginning, and also too, Ellie, I have an HR director, and so my sister and I have a leadership team. And so my sister reports to a leader, right? And so like if she has any issue, any personnel issues, that's between her and her leader. And if they can't resolve it, then that's between her and HR.
Right.
Period.
So
like,
it keeps you out of it.
It keeps me out of it.
You can still maintain the family because it's separate. That's so good.
But also too, and it's still like everybody here on the team is still equal.
Exactly.
Right? Like I'm going to treat everybody like they my sisters and brothers, or I'm going to treat y'all all like, you know, y'all employees. Like, you know, so just to be fair, because you never want to like lose the morale among other team members and things. And I'm like, leadership development is so important as a CEO. Like you have to learn like just like how to manage like people's skills and things like that. So look, while I'm learning, let HR do all this stuff.
No, that's so
God's still working on me.
You know, we were not perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a good point about leadership development because, you know, the way, like a sign of success in your business is when you can replace yourself, right? When you can be somewhere else and everything is still on the up and up at the company. So where do you find these good leaders? Where do you find an HR director? How do you find a leadership team? What was your process?
So it's crazy because my social media manager, she ended up becoming my chief marketing officer. So she was that's
I met her.
Yes,
she was so nice.
And actually she left me. She left the company, but she has her own marketing firm. So I completely support that, right? Like I want to see her growth. And it's like, you know, you help this firm reach 7 figures. I need you to go
and do
that for your firm, right? So like also too, we got to be willing to let go people when they have outgrown positions. That's part of leadership development, right? Like, because I understand like her true power is being her own leader, right? And so, but you know, so we have amazing. And sometimes she still be texting me and sending me stuff like, do this for marketing, do this. And, you know, so it's an amazing relationship. And, you know, we're friends. We became friends over that. But so I met her in a networking event, right?
Wow.
And so we worked together for 6 years. 6 years before she decided to do her own thing. And it was all love. We cried together, but it was just like, this is, you know, like I want to see you in this next phase, right? And then plus, like, you know, you want your friends to be so when it's time for a girls trip,
like, let's go.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And so and then my second leader, my daughter was playing basketball and her daughter played basketball. And so I would go to basketball games and we was just sitting in the bleachers, you know, because I live in this little suburban area. And, you know, it might have been rude, but I was like, do you got a job? She was like, excuse me? No, I'm not working right now. But I was like, well, do you want to come work with me?
Right.
And we kind of just grew the business. So she was my operating manager. And then now she's my COO, who holds everything down.
Everything now. She's the captain over there.
Yes. And then my chief legal officer was actually our very first male hire. Oh, wow. Because when the firm started, I just hired a lot of Black females who wanted to work from home, who possibly had kids like myself, trying to make it easy for them. And so everybody, this is like about year 3, no, it's about year 5. Everybody's like, we need some testosterone around here. Like, it's just too many women. Like, and so he ended up being a stay-at-home dad, and he came in as an attorney, and then we our other chief officer, legal officer, she went on and he took on her position. And then my HR director, I actually met her through another Marketing by Murray. She worked with her. And so and she's my client. Yes. And so, we talking about, because she experienced growth in her business real fast. And, we was talking about just people issues, right? Yes. And she was like, well, I'm working with an HR director. So that's how it came. So it comes in different forms, but I believe it's all going back to God. It is. He provides, right? Because
that's literally the right people coming at the right time.
At the right time. At a networking event, at the basketball game, in the stands, right? And then one through a traditional hire, and the other one just from word of mouth from another, peer in the industry. So,
and I think that's so good because it goes to show what you said about trust and letting go. Because if you were still in a place of, I got to do everything, you might not have even been open to, talking to these people.
Yes.
And so something I want to ask you too is when it comes to people finding partners in their business, or if they want to start their business with a person, what are some things they should do to protect the business, but also protect themselves individually? Because
that is such a great question. Because I do trademarks, right? And so people come in to the trademark process as partners, right? And the process can take about 12 to 18 months. And sometimes the partnership be broke up before the trademark is finished, okay? And so one thing I would just say is, how I sat down with my sister, you have to sit down and actually talk to your partner. Yeah. And that conversation has to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I don't like you tomorrow, what we doing? How we breaking up this business? How are we going to divvy it up? How are we going to... Because the problem happens when people don't communicate.
Exactly.
And it's kind of you have to get a partnership agreement. People want to skip that step. Right. And we can skip it if we happily in love and we don't get no prenuptial agreement. Right. But you definitely need a partnership agreement. Yes. And also, too, I always tell people, it don't have to always be bad either. Yeah. Because think about this. You and I go into partnership, right? We both have kids, right? And, say, for instance, I'm like, Ellie, my kids ain't running no business. They gonna run it down, right? And you okay, well, I got this or whatever, but it's not in writing, right? Yeah. So now my estate is coming over to come in and be your partner now, right? And and I know we didn't want that in the beginning because I trusted you up front as my partner, right?
Exactly.
But we have to put that in writing, right? To say, okay, this is what the procedure will be. This is the auditing procedure. That's Make sure you pay my kids, every single month. If the business grows this amount, So those are the conversations that have to be had, and it has to be put in writing. And most people, because they in the honeymoon stages, whether they friends or not, right?
Yes. And it's also exciting.
We loving each other, right? But also too, I would think it would be smart that we sit down and we talk about it, and then I'm gonna hire my lawyer, you hire your lawyer, and then let them draft up the agreement, right? We decide which one's gonna draft it up. We split the cost between the two. We find someone, both of them who are in reason, and we split the cost, and then that way we have neutral parties.
Yes.
That's outside of the business that's looking at this transaction, and we got one that's representing you, one that's representing me, and now we can have something that makes sense.
Exactly.
And they have looked into any and every possible issue. Yes. So if I'm getting remarried or you're getting remarried and something happens to me, you want to work with my husband or you don't want to work, all of those possibilities are flushed out and factored out. And people don't want to take the time to sit down and do it, but it will save you a lot of money and a lot of headache. Yes.
I can only imagine. That is so good.
Yeah.
So y'all, in 2 seconds, we'll be right back after this short break. Hey, future millionaires, thank you so much for tuning in to Get Ellivated, my live coaching and podcast show. I absolutely love sharing this value with you, and I want to make sure that you're tapped in to all the other resources I provide for you here on the channel, as well as in my academy, Ellievatedacademy.com. You guys know that I'm so passionate about helping you start and scale your businesses online, build business credit, get access to funding, and just overall creating multiple income streams. So I want to make sure that you are tapped into my Wealth Masterclass. You can get the link to that down below or by going to Ellievatedacademy.com and enroll ASAP. I'll see you guys in the masterclass. Bye. All right, y'all, welcome back in. So we were just talking about the importance of communicating when you have a partnership, whether that's your friend, your sister. And I think it's really important because when you're building a business, you got to separate how you feel. And if the person that you're building with isn't comfortable with putting something in writing,
right.
That's a sign. Red flag.
On the play.
Right. You got to pay attention to that because that could mean that later on they're also going to bring up some of those same issues. And I feel like, as Black women specifically, I've dealt with it where I'm thinking that a partnership or a business relationship can work, and then it just doesn't, right? And I've had the experience of not putting things in writing, so then it gets all messy, and it's just like, that's the worst thing you can definitely do. And it can shake your confidence too, I feel like, as a Black woman. And we deal with a lot of imposter syndrome. I know if it affected me because when I started my business, I also started almost on accident. I kept applying to these jobs. Everybody was saying no. I'm like, God, what's up?
Right.
What are we doing here? I'm trying to provide for my kids. And so it was like, you know what? Let me just jump into this. But sometimes I was feeling like, can I do this? Is it for me? So you have built this amazing business. How did you overcome imposter syndrome? And does it affect you?
So, Ellie, I think I don't allow that to affect me because I had to realize I am my only competition.
Yes.
Right? Like, of course, we have competitors and things like that, but I am the only person who can stand in my own way. So, like, when I don't eat healthy, when I don't want to get up and go and do things, when I'm procrastinating, those are, like, the things that kill, my success, right?
Yes.
So it's like, I don't like, because what I realize, and this is what I realize, God is so good. Actually, he's great. That he operates in abundance, right? Whereas there's enough for all of us to eat out here.
Yes.
And I feel like when people understand like the power of their industry and their numbers, like when you go to the grocery store, you see all the bread, right? All the water, right?
Yes.
And they all making money, right? And so like once I understood that, like since I've been doing trademarks, over like 500,000 trademarks have been filed a year, right? And in the midst of pandemic, it was like 730 something thousand, right? In order for me to have a successful year, I just need to do maybe 1,000, 1,500.
Wow.
That's not even 1%.
That's not even 1%. There's so
of what's
much
being filed.
opportunity.
Exactly. So it's so much room for other people. Like it's there's so many different hair brands out here.
Yes.
And there can be all successful because there's so many heads out here that have different type of hair, right?
And we got a new hairstyle every month.
Exactly. And so I always say like your positioning will determine your perspective. And if you keep yourself positioned in God, your perspective should always be positive. So I can love to see my sis win over here, my sis win over there, and I'm winning. But it took a level of growth for that to happen. Because at first I used to be like, wait, somebody's stealing my stuff. They doing this, they doing that, right? But now I have to just stay in my mental space, right? And think about, okay, if they taking my stuff, that means I'm the blueprint and I'm doing something good. What's next for me now? Right. You know what I'm saying? Because they using the old stuff that I was using, and I'm on to something new, right? So it's like, and that just tells me like the gift from God, the favor of God, right? I love to create, I love to represent trendsetters, not people that follow trends, right? So we set trends, right? And so I'm like, okay, let me be of that because I want to represent and model the people to attract those type of people, right? So in that case, the copycats got to go somewhere. Hello. So so it's just like I don't let that bother me anymore, and I really just try to stay grounded within him and understand I am his child. And he is so great in his blessings that he could bless me, you, them, and everybody else at the same time.
And I'm like, I want more of us to think that way, because there's more than enough. Yeah. There is so much that we couldn't even really scratch the surface if we tried. Yeah. And so the more you think like that, I completely agree. It keeps you elevated from those low vibrations,
Exactly.
right? I'm not dealing with your low vibrational plate, okay?
Right. Exactly. This is a low vibration.
That's a low vibration, right? You know, it keeps you up here. And I
Yeah.
think as business owners, we have to stay in that space.
Yes.
Because we got payroll, we got this, we got to hit our numbers. That we can't have time to be worried about, oh, she said this, or they did that, or somebody took this, or, you know, you got to stay in that place of faith and confidence and knowingness, you know?
And I would just say, too, Biggie said more money, more problems, but I say more money, the different level of the problem.
Exactly.
Right? So, like you're saying, like, I ain't got time to be worried about, I'm over here like,
we're trying to do this.
You know, and what's the next move to take this? Because the biggest thing, and I think, you know, as 7-figure entrepreneurs, I don't know if you experience this, my biggest challenge right now is, how do I put my money to work for me?
Exactly. That's all I'm always thinking about.
Like, how do I, that's what keep me up at night.
Yes.
Not what Sister Sue and Sally Sue was doing, but how do I make this money work? Because I work hard for this money.
Very.
Like, them long nights,
We
them
be
sleeping
working.
nights. And so now, and it's like, you know, I looked and I seen like the most successful entrepreneurs, they're putting their money to work for them.
Exactly.
So that's the question that I'm trying to answer for
Yeah.
myself. You know what I'm
Y'all
saying?
worried about this.
Yeah.
I'm worried about this.
Exactly. And then just the stuff that's happening. You know, people say put your money in crypto, put it in stocks,
Girl,
put
it's
your money in the
always
real
something
estate
new.
market, right? And it's like you see all these things are like crashing and falling apart. And so it's just like, okay, how do I be smart about that? Because again, like I don't come from a family that had money.
Yeah.
You know,
we
who
don't
could
want
tell
to
me.
just make a mistake.
Exactly. And so it's like, those are like some of my biggest concerns
Yeah.
right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That thing. Like, and so it's just like, again, I feel like too, when you growing your business and you're in your business, again, it's different levels of different problems and different challenges. And it's
Very.
like, but again, you know, it's like, okay, I conquered that one.
Right.
And here's another one. Okay, so how do we conquer this? You know, and it's all a learning experience.
Yeah, and being a problem solver.
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying about having your money work for you, because I think that's how we build wealth, you know?
Yes.
And eventually when we're older and we just want to sit on an island somewhere,
Yes.
right? We still want to be generating money, and we want to make sure that what we build gets passed down. So how do you talk to your clients or recommend to them about, you know, setting things up to protect them later, like trusts or estate plans, things
Yes.
like that?
So I always say, look, I'm a trademark lawyer, right?
Yes.
And so I did get an A+ in estate planning in law school, right? But I leave that to the estate planners. What I advise people is that you want experts on your team
Yes.
as a business owner. Like you see Oprah, she got all different types of experts, right? Jay-Z said he spent the most of his money on doctors, lawyers, and his food, right?
Wow.
And so it's just like, you know, you want different, you got to have a team of people, right? So, but I do tell people, like, you need to look into a trust and understand the difference between a will and a trust,
Very
right?
much.
Because there are probatable assets and then there are non-probatable assets. And it becomes a non-probatable assets if you list the beneficiary, like say on your bank account, right?
Exactly.
And so that doesn't go under probate, right? But also too, if you have a trust, but you got to make sure that that trust is going to suffice in the land that you're operating in, right? In that territory,
Yes.
in case somebody wanted to challenge that trust, right? So it's a lot of different things that come into play. So I always say, talk to the experts. My daddy always say,
Exactly.
don't go to the foot doctor for brain surgery, right? So like I tell people, holla at your girl for trademarks,
Exactly.
right? But initially, just to know like it is something that's needed, right? Definitely. And also too, when you're building wealth and you're trying to build legacy, I think also too, insurance is very important.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that.
Yes.
Because people overlook it.
And it's like it might not serve us, right? Because we
Right.
paying a premium,
Yes.
right? But, you know, like if you got a $5 million policy, you know, and something happens to you, your kids is coming into this money, right? And I have a financial advisor who's
Me
my
too.
CPA, right?
Yes.
And he says it all the time, okay, now let's teach the kids how to take that money, go reinvest it into their insurance policy,
Yes.
right? And then we make sure the business that we created, that money is what's taken care of. And that's how because nobody nobody really talks about how to do the generational wealth.
Yes.
Or create the generation.
It.
Like, but they say it, but they're not talking about it. And so it's like, I think that's one form of way, but you need to sit down and speak to a financial advisor and create and devise a plan.
Wow.
And then put it under a trust, right? So that it's operating. And I feel like a lot of times people think, oh, well, that's above my pay grade. Or,
right.
But here's the thing. In life, nothing is promised but death. So we got to address it. Like,
you have to.
Whether we want to or not. And I feel like if you have kids, right, if you have, a business, like you got to sit down, even just to have a power of attorney in case you become. So a power of attorney is if you become incapacitated.
Right.
Right? Like you're still living.
Yes.
But you can't think, right, for yourself. And that happens sometimes. People become disabled. And so your power of attorney will govern you on like a financial side and a medical side. Right.
Yeah.
But also too, like we gotta address, because a lot of times a lot of black wealth is lost and gone because there was no estate plan.
Yes.
Think about Aretha Franklin, Prince, right? And so sad. And even Ray Charles, I think he had a will, but it was contested.
Exactly. Because all these people, I want a piece and I want a piece.
And guess who ended up winning? The lawyers.
What?
Because they drained his estate from the fees and things, and then by the time the court has had its say, nobody ain't got no money.
There's no money left.
Wow. The estate didn't pay all the lawyers, right? And so it's like you want to make sure you sit down, have a good estate plan in place, like have cameras in the room to say like, no, I'm in my right mind. This is what I said. Yeah. This is what I said, right? You see in the movies where they'll pop on the video of the deceased and things like, because it's like, I don't need y'all playing with my money in court. Like, this is what I want y'all to do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. And I think, like you said, we got to think ahead, right? And it doesn't mean you're being negative. It doesn't mean you're it's just a fact.
Yeah.
We don't know when our time will come.
Yes.
And all we can hope for is that we serve God as much as possible while we're here, that we build something, and then whatever we build, that we protect it.
Yes. And I'll just say this really quick too, because we all talk trust, but also make sure you get a pour-over will. So a pour-over will is in the event you acquire an asset, you sat down and you did your estate plan and you did your trust, and then you acquire an asset that was not a part of the trust or you never addressed it. In the pour-over will, it says where all these additional assets will pour over into.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So that's like a little extra backup plan.
Exactly.
In case you get something and you didn't have the time to put it in your estate plan.
Exactly.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you too, you know, if you were seated right here before God today, right now, and you could ask him for anything and he would say yes without a doubt, what would you ask for?
Oh my God, I didn't know it's going to happen. That's, I got to think about that.
I know.
Lord, I can't answer that right now. I can't answer that right now. I can't, because it's so
many things.
So many things, and I really have to think about it, right? Like, do I ask for like my past loved ones who passed on to come back, right? Or do I ask for something going forward because maybe I shouldn't touch the past, right? And things like that, like. Like I can't really say right now, but I know one thing that will really make me happy. I have 3, and my 21-year-old son, my 17-year-old, my 10-year-old, everybody's like, oh my God, you're so successful. And I'm not successful until they make great success in their lives, right? And that might be the mother in me, right? Yeah, that might be selfish of me, right? But it really boils down to them because they didn't ask to be here.
I know.
And I brought them here.
Yep. So now I'm like, I gotta do for you.
Yes, and I feel like it's a greater responsibility. But I'm gonna sit with that question.
I know.
And I'm gonna send y'all probably an answer back. I'm gonna really think about. That's an amazing question to ask, and I think we all should be thinking about that because we never know that opportunity can possibly come.
And I think it allows us to think about, outside of all the things, like what do I really value the most?
Yeah,
and if I could have it, like, what would that be?
Yeah.
So I love to ask that question because I sometimes, some days I think I know my answer, and then another day I'd be like, no, maybe that would be my answer.
Right.
So it really is just an amazing thing.
And that's like such a tall order because, like, that's just like if somebody came to you and was like, you want a steak or you want chicken nuggets? And you like, well, I ain't never heard about a steak, so I'm gonna take chicken nuggets.
Exactly.
You know? And then you like, damn, I should have asked for the steak.
I should have tried the steak.
You know, so it's just like, but you only get one choice, so it's like you got to be very careful with that. So I got to think about that. I'm not even going to jump and try to act like I'm smart enough.
That would be something you
to
kind
answer
of
that question.
On,
yes,
you know?
Absolutely. Yes.
I think that's so great. Well, Rosena, tell the people where they can find you. How can they get in touch? Because I know they're going to want to work with you.
Well, you guys, I love Instagram. You can follow me at the Biz Lawyer. Now, it's a lot of fake accounts. Do you go through
Girl, we both need to get verified.
I know.
I'm like, can't we just write a letter to Instagram or something? You a lawyer.
I need to sit down and figure
this
out.
I
need to make some time because they've been coming for your girl,
oh
okay?
My gosh.
So it's the Biz Lawyer, right? No extra R's, no underscores, no trade with nothing. I don't do Bitcoin.
No.
I ain't gonna ask you for nothing of that. Like, it's just the Biz Lawyer, and it goes down in the DM. So send me a DM. I only have one The Biz Lawyer page, right? I do have a law firm page, but please do not fall for the scammers tricks. Please. I'm like, y'all can be doing something else with y'all life. Yes.
If y'all applied that same resilience, you could be a millionaire too.
Yes. That's
the right way.
And I be trying to preach to them and write to them in the comments and convert them over to Jesus and all type of stuff. And it just, and here come another fake account.
Right. They just want to be scammers.
But also they can visit my website at www.rjpiercelawgroup.com. And I also have an ebook. It's called the Trademark Manifesto.
Ooh.
And it's only $27 if they like to learn more about trademark law. Or they can book a 15-minute discovery call with my law firm for only $25.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes.
Oh yes, we're going to support. We got to collab.
Yes.
So I'm going to need y'all to comment part 2 down below if we want to have a part 2. We got to find another way to do this together.
And I love coming to LA, so just let me know.
Always, anytime. Yes. Well, y'all, thank y'all so much. Make sure you share this episode with a friend. Connect with Rosena. Get your trademark. If you don't have it already, this is your sign. Do it. And as you can see, she makes it so affordable. So see y'all guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
So if you want to be on the next episode of Get Ellivated, or if you want to be in touch with me and the team, then you can email podcast@getellivated.com or find me on Instagram and email me at hello@ellietalksmoney.com. Either way, we cannot wait to have you on the show and have you apply to be a guest for a part of the live business coaching. I'll see you guys soon.